Match day 8 of the 2011 OBA Tour, and we're here in Theydon, Bois, Essex, truly in North House heartland. Fitting then that we should have two North House players in the field today, one of whom is James Ballinger making his OBA Tour debut. He's joined by Tour stalwarts Seve, Burns and Fish, making up the foursome for the day's play. Last time out at Enfield, Duncan O'Leary took a clean sweep for West House, bagging himself 2 points in the race to Woodford and putting some daylight between himself and Burns at the top of the leaderboard. Sproggett picked up his first race to Woodford point with a runner-up position, and with Biscuit absent at Theydon, the other tourist would be looking to close the gap. Rookie Ballinger was the picture of calm on the first tee, and the North House man got his OBA Tour career off to a cracking start with a par at the first. The first feature hole of the day was the nearest the pin on the par 3 third hole. Having eventually decided on a club, Fish looked confident as he stood over the ball. 130 yards, a good 30 yards elevation drop and a slight headwind provided all the ingredients for some aggressive tee play. As it was, Fish pushed right over the small bunkers and found himself in trouble underneath a bush. Up next was Burns, who leads the way in nearest the pin for the season. And with Fish having effectively put himself out of the game for today, this was a great opportunity for the East House player to pull away at the top of the rankings. Sounded good, looks good, but in the end it was just too much as it flew over the back of the green and behind a similar bush to Fish. Advantage Seve then, and with it looking like a shot anywhere near the green, being sure of points, Hawthorn was unable to produce the goods. You couldn't script this. Tour rookie Ballinger at his first feature hole of his career, and all he has to do is hit the green to gain some points. Not only did he hit the green, but did so in style with a shot that would have won many nearest the pin competitions over the course of the season so far. Nearest the pin in the bag then, and Ballinger was looking for a birdie to really finish the job off at the third. About 15 feet from the hole, the stroke was good, but perhaps the excitement got to his head a little. In the end he'd have to settle for a bogey, very disappointing from his original position. The first Roger Goldie hole of the day, a short par 5, and Fisher put himself in prime position in the middle of the fairway from the tee. Having ummed and ahed about whether to go for the green in 2 or to lay out, he elected to use the big stick. A decision he would rue. He would eventually save his par, although from the middle of the fairway one can't help but think that that would have been an opportunity missed in Roger Goldie terms. Ballinger's practice swing was the picture of composure at the 6th. But despite making a better practice swing, it was the original duff that reappeared when he hit the ball. Into the trees, and that would spell back-to-back 10s for Ballinger. The dogleg left at the 6th looked to fit Fish's draw shape perfectly. A little straighter than he'd hoped for, and not quite round the corner, but it'll do on his way to a point. And while Fish went along looking for his tee shot at the 7th, Ballinger continued to advance the ball forward, as did North House chum Seve. Just managing to keep out of trouble on the right hand side there, Seve would then go on to make a 3-point bogey. At the halfway stage then, this was how things looked. All very tight, with Fish and Seve sharing the lead. On Fish's part, thanks to some characteristically steady golf, Seve on the other hand providing far more entertainment for the assembled crowd. Ballinger and Burns both sat 2 points behind the leaders. A par 3 at the 8th, the highlight for Burns on the front 9, while Ballinger opened beautifully with a par, and then interspersed some good bogey golf with some really big numbers. Still, the new boy was carrying significant momentum into the back 9, with Fish beginning to show small signs of a fade towards the turn. The tee shots at the 10th were really nothing to write home about, and with Burns, Fish and Seve having already all gone right either into the trees or onto the next fairway, Ballinger duly followed suit. Looking to make up for that bad experience at the 10th then, Fish really gripped it and ripped it on the 11th tee. He would end up just a short wedge from the green. Seve had clipped the hanging trees on the left once already and taken a savage bounce out of bounds. So this was his third shot from the tee, which threatened to do exactly the same thing. Fortunately, he dropped straight down and had a shot at the green. Ballinger meanwhile was in all sorts of trouble. And after having a couple of hacks, actually recovered quite well. It was then just a case of tap. Tapping it in for a 10. The star of the hole was Burns though, who played a glorious 5-iron out of the right hand rough to land just inches from the flag, bagging a sure birdie. Despite little being offered in the way of a challenge, Fish's longest drive at the 13th was a legitimate winner in its own right. A small pitch over the hump, and Fish would clean up a par, just the latest in a great run that was putting Fish in prime position for the victory through the final holes. Despite this wayward shot at the 14th, Ballinger still managed to get up onto the green and down in 2 putts to save a bogey. Fish's big gunning off the tee had given him just a short iron into the green. A little big, but he would get up and down for the par. And after having put 3 into the trees off the tee at the par 3 15th, Burns' challenge was all but over. Nevertheless, there was still a runner-up point up for grabs if he could find the fairway here. Nothing doing unfortunately, as the well-struck tee shot clipped a low-hanging branch on the left and dropped dead. After closing out the final holes then, these were the standings on the day. Ballinger closing out a brilliant debut with a lovely par at the 18th. Despite those 5 points on the last hole, it wasn't enough to beat Seve to the runner-up position. Fish home and dry on 33 points for the victory, that marvellous streak of red and blue on the back nine making sure of that. Seve's almost relentless scoring making him a well-deserved runner-up on the day. And despite a severe tail-off at the end of the game, Burns will look to take the positives out of the first 12 holes. Official confirmation of the result there then, and these were the other notable results from the day. Longest drive going to Fish, that's becoming something of a habit now. Debutant Ballinger delighted to pick up a nearest the pin on his first time out. Those Roger Goldie scores worthy of note as well, Fish and Seve doing themselves no harm whatsoever. Burns' capitulation then means that Biscuit remains unchallenged at the top of the race towards the leaderboard on 8 points, while Fish joins Burns on 6 points for second position. Fish has pulled away slightly in the longest drive rankings with that victory today, and nearest the pin 2011 becomes an even wider contest thanks to Ballinger's efforts. The world rankings not hugely affected by today's results there. Sproget notably moving up to 5th position thanks to some good recent results, and there's just the finest of margins between the world number 1 and 2. Just time to tell you that the next event on the OBA tour this year is being rescheduled for television, so we'll see you next time at the British Open, a weekend event at Wokefield Park just outside Reading. Join us then.